Hey folks, Todd Coburn here with the Aerospace Structure Series. This is part of Lecture 1 for Dynamics, and we're going to cover practical and good practice solution procedures and also self-grading for my class. So the solution procedures are good for everybody, whether you're a student anywhere or an industry professional. It's a good approach, although a couple of things aren't going to apply to industry professionals. My self-grading policy is one that I have developed to allow you to self-grade your own work if you're in one of my classes, and a few other professors at Cal Poly are using the same procedure. And this will help clarify my expectations and show you the appropriate way to grade your homework so that you get full credit. So stay tuned. This is how it works. So if you look at any mainstream statics or dynamics textbook, and also many strength and materials textbooks, they're going to present a solution procedure that is actually a really good practice. You're going to identify your problem, each problem, with like a problem number and circle it. Now, industry is not going to circle it, but you can put titles on. I like to use, for industry, my industry work, I like to use a series of titles, one for like the overall project, if it's not somewhere else on the report page, what the specific part we're working on, and then what detail part. These titles can quickly allow the person that's reviewing to understand precisely where we are, what we're doing, and how that's working. For students, it's a little simpler because you're just saying, okay, I'm working a certain homework, I'm working a certain problem number. You're going to identify that. You're going to write that on the paper and circle that puppy. A lot of books will require given, find, solution. So you're going to write given in capital letters, underline it, and then you're going to write out the information that was given to you in the problem statement. You're then going to write find, and you're going to list out the things that you're looking to find, and you're going to write solution, and then you're going to go through your solution process, which may involve resketching the problem, drawing a free body diagram, presenting each equation, and then inputting your values and solving, and then boxing your answers. Boxing your answers is a critical piece for homework for engineers so that we know precisely which you're claiming is credit. I've seen a lot of sloppy work. Well, students will be uncertain what to do. They'll throw another bunch of numbers and leave it for me to choose which one is the correct one. That's unacceptable. You need to tell precisely which is your presented answer. Now, the same thing tends to apply to industry, although to a lesser degree. Usually what we will do is underline margins of safety because it's showing what the critical margin specifically is for each part. So you're going to do this in my classes. If you don't follow this, you cannot claim full credit on your homework. If you don't box your answer, you're going to lose points. If you don't identify the units for the problem, whether it's a stress, it's PSI. If it's a speed, it's feet per second or meters per second, if it's and so on. So showing what the magnitude is with appropriate sig figs, showing what the units are that are appropriate, the sign, whether it's positive or negative. Sometimes an arrow is the best way, or tension compression is the best way to show that, like we did in statics. And then boxing your answer when you're done, or if there are multiple parts, there'd be multiple boxed answers. And then you check your work, check your units, check your values. This is a critical procedure. It's really good practice. When you get out there in industry, you can tweak it a little bit, and then and it will serve you well. Now, once in my classes on quizzes and tests, I don't require you to do all this. You only need to show what you need to show in order to solve the problem, which may involve free body diagram, sketching the problem, all this, but you don't have to copy information onto your page. It's kind of a waste of time when you're under time pressure. But it's a useful skill for identifying for a good practical way to solve problems. And this is why I stress this in my classes, and many other statics, dynamics, and strength and materials classes do as well. Okay. This is kind of reiterating what we just said, and this is also kind of reiterating some of these ideas. Given, find, solution. In my homeworks, that's required, and then filling out that detail information. Once again, quizzes and tests don't require that for me, but they do for the homework. Some professors require it for everything. You need to know your own professor, what they're requiring. Make sure you follow their direction. You got that? This little step-by-step procedure is very useful and will serve you in industry. So let's take a look at how this might look on a typical homework. Well, we'll use a statics homework as a example. So what we would do, we're going to identify our name, what the class is. This is our statics class at Cal Poly, and this is homework number 1. We then identify each problem. I like to double circle those. I learned that back when I was taking statics at Long Beach State, I think is when I started doing this. A little sketch in this particular case. The sketch is not required, but it's fun and useful. Given, what we're given, find the things we're looking for, solution, and then I go through my solution. You'll notice I'm showing each step. I'm showing magnitude, units. When I get done with something after reporting the number with usually more digits than I need, I will then box that answer with appropriate units that's boxed, okay? And so on, solving through. You'll notice the next one also, I have a little sketch. I have given, find, solution. I've boxed all my answers. I'm showing page 1 of 3, which means there's more to this homework. Second page, we got problem 3 solved, problem 4 solved, problem 5 solved, problem 6 solved, page 2 of 3, page 3 of 3. I like to put my name and the identifying information on each piece of paper. Engineering paper, that kind of greenish stuff, is really good to use because it gives you a place for all these pieces of data. This problem-solving approach is useful for statics, dynamics, strength of materials, and actually nearly every engineering class. Now, when you get out in industry, you're not necessarily going to write given, find, solution. However, the same kind of idea where you report what are the requirements that I'm working this to? What is the input information? What are the material properties? What are these pieces of information? What are the loads? And then we start working through the problem rather than just throwing out some numbers in a couple equations that are meaningless. Also sketching free body diagrams or a sketch of the problem. Learning that skill of sketching your work is, well, a lot of people now are using the computer quite well for quick pictures that do a real good job, and that's a valued skill as well. But you want to make sure you develop the skill of sketching. You can actually sketch most things orders of magnitude faster than you can create a Word or Excel or even CAD picture. Now, there's always exceptions, but that's true for most everybody. You can sketch faster, even if you're not an artist. I have some artistic bent. That's helpful in engineering. But if you don't, this is a great approach. Now, let's take this a step further in how to grade your own work. In my classes, I have my students self-grade their own work according to a certain rubric where they have to check to make sure they have given, find, solution, that they've recorded the things the way I said, then box their answers the way I said. When you're all done, they count up their points. It's usually 5 points per problem, although I've started tweaking that. Sometimes the homework itself will show additional information. So in this particular case, let me show you how that works. This is mostly pertains to my students who are following my rubric for self-grading. Okay, each problem is typically worth 5 points. So this one, since there's 6 problems, there's up to 30 points possible. And if we solved everything, and my homework also has the answer provided at the bottom, just like a lot of books do. So you're checking your own answer, and if your answer is in line with mine, if it matches mine precisely, you can claim full credit. That would mean 30 points for this. If you didn't match my answer, then the rubric tells you how many points to deduct, and you might be something less than 30. When you're all done with that, what you need to do is record on your paper at the top of the first sheet your score over the total score that's possible, and you need to circle that. And you need to do it with a different color pencil or pen than you created your work with. Oh, I also require, this allows me to sort these quicker, is I require you to write your first 3 letters of your last name. This is not your initials, first 3 letters of your last name up at the upper left. What this does when we have turned in assignments, it allows me to quickly sort those more quickly than searching for where you stuck your name, because students tend to stick them wherever, and that makes it a lot longer. I can spend more time sorting the work than I do actually grading the work if that is too sloppy. So let me show you how this all works. So what you're going to do first is you're going to record the first 3 letters of your last name at the upper left. I like to stick it right there. My last name is Coburn, so that would be C-O-B at the upper left, capital letters. This makes it really quick and easy for me to sort all the student work in quick order. Then you're going to count up your grade. In this particular case, I'm claiming full credit, so I'm claiming 30 points, and there are 30 points possible. So 30 out of 30. If I only claim 26, like let's say I didn't match any answers, that means the max I'm going to get is maybe 24 and maybe less depending on the rubric statement. So we've got points claimed over points possible, and then we're going to circle that. If students don't circle that, I deduct some points. Early on, maybe it's 1 or 2 points. Later on, it might be more points. You need to carefully claim which score you're claiming up near the top. In my class, I also give a lot of extra credit. Some teachers don't. I give it for a lot of stupid reasons, just to kind of keep the class lively and fun. When I give extra credit, the way for you to get that is usually for you to claim it on your homework. Most extra credit, unless I say I already recorded it, needs to be claimed on the homework on the same day it was allotted. So, for example, sometimes I go overtime in class, where I go a little over the allotted time. I have a very demanding class. If students are late, they're usually missing a quiz and they're missing points. I expect you to be on time, and it's going to cost you if you're not. In the same way, if I'm ever not on time, which almost never happens, or if I go long in a class, which does sometimes happen, I'm going to give you points, and usually it's a point per minute. So in this particular case, let's say, and you don't get to claim it on your own, I will announce at the end of class. Like if I go 2 minutes over, I'll go, okay, sorry about that. You can all claim 2 overtime extra credit. And the way you get those points is on the homework that corresponds with the day that I award the credit. You're going to write to the right of your circled score plus 2 OTXC. If I give you in class extra credit, then let's say we're talking and I ask a question and you give an answer and I say plus 1 point or something like this, or 5 points if I'm really impressed, then you'll claim this here also. That's called in class or IC extra credit, and you would claim that separately because that's a different kind of extra credit. And and if I ever go long in a class or show up late or anything, like I said, showing up late almost never happens. And if I don't announce the extra credit, feel free to ask, and I will most likely award that. Sometimes I award credit for YouTube watching. So like if I have a lecture that I feel, I really want you to spend more time. And usually I do this on a few of the early assignments, but not on the later assignments. So you can't just claim extra credit for watching YouTube. If the homework itself says, hey, if you watch such and such, sometimes I will tell you to watch certain parts of YouTube channels, YouTube videos to strengthen your knowledge, and I'll give you standard points for that. And other times I'll say, hey, if you want to watch an extra 10 minutes of this lecture or similar lectures that help you, you can claim 5 points or 2 points or whatever. If it says that in black and white on a particular homework, then you can claim YouTube extra credit. And this is how you do it. Plus however many points I offer, YouTube extra credit. You can't just claim this for watching it. It's only if the homework claims that you can do it. So the way this is, overtime extra credit, I will announce in class. Everybody that's in class can claim it, unless you're late to class. If you're late to class, you cannot claim any overtime extra credit for that class. You need to be on time to claim the extra credit for OT. In-class extra credit, that's if I award you points in class. You need to jot it down, keep track, and then make sure you report it here. You can't claim it later. If you forget to claim it, you've got to claim it on that homework. And then if I offer YouTube extra credit on the homework, then you can claim that, and this is how you would do it, claiming however many points it says. You'll notice here the score is no longer 30 out of 30. It's now 36 out of 30. But you don't write 36 out of 30 because I want to see I need to be able to see what you're claiming for extra credit because students often misclaim that. And I want to see what you're claiming for your homework. So it's easier for me to adjust your score if needed as appropriate. As long as you're being open and honest with whatever you say, then I will not give you punitive extra credit. Let's say, for example, you don't match my answer on problem 6. You get 3.67. And you think that that's good enough for some reason, or you think my answer is wrong for some reason. Now, you cannot claim full credit if you don't match my answer to the precision that's stated in the homework, unless you flag it. So let's say you really feel, no, Dr. Coburn is wrong. Then what you need to do is next to that problem, so in this case, problem 6, you would put a little star, you would give a little brief explanation like, I think this is correct, and then you would put another star right here up near like where you're putting your extra credit claims. You would put a little star and you put a little note, see problem 6 or see problem 4. And then you can give yourself the benefit of the doubt and claim that credit. If I disagree, I will just take off those points that you gave yourself. But if you don't flag it and you claim credit that you're not that doesn't match the rubric, then I will give you punitive scoring, which means I will take more off, maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe 0 for the whole assignment. So just be open and honest and clear with your scoring. This is not intended to cause a lot of stress. It's intended to be clear and quick and allow you to do most of the grading of your own work, and I'll just collect up those scores. I rarely change it unless I feel like a student is misapplying that. So some students like to go and add this together for me and then claim 36 out of 30 or 36 total or something like this. You're welcome to do that. That's not required. You're welcome to do that, but I do expect to see these aspects in your scoring. And if you want to give me a little more, like sum it up for me, that's fine too. Sometimes it's better when there's like a whole bunch of extra credit of different types. And sometimes that can be a challenge when I'm grading all these and I'm adding them all together as I'm going through it with Canvas lagging and things. It's a hassle. So feel free to do that, but make sure you have these required pieces. So we've just covered a practical solution procedure that's useful for any of your engineering classes. And we also covered how to self-grade your work if you're in one of my classes or a teacher that does something similar. Make sure you watch the rest of the videos for Lecture 1. They're listed in the description. Enjoy.